of a unique setup here at this LAN. It's the third seeds battling it out for the number 1 position, the 1 seeds battling it out for 3rd, 4th, and the 2nd seeds battling out for 5th, 6th.
I mean, I don't know how unique that really is, considering how many lands we've had our 4th seeds win.
It's like EU lands from yesteryear, where we'd see Coast win out of nowhere and things like that. Yeah.
Right, yeah, Coast, SK constantly winning. Yeah. And then in North America, COG Red coming in as 4th seed. Everyone thought they were going to get demolished by COG. They win. Then they beat the then Dignitas roster. Like, we're just back to that.
Yeah, that was a really great event where COG Red just trashed Cognitive Prime. I mean, like, just the play was just... And, of course, joining us on the desk, Jeff Hinla from Cloud9, formerly known as Cognitive Prime, World Championship SMITE winners from 2015.
Hey, you won Worlds. Come on.
I mean, yeah, I'm all right with it.
Yeah, you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Yeah, so we're going to be your commentary team, guys, moving into the finals. It is going to be a best of 5 in this contest. That's first of 3 wins to take this one down. And, well, all things told, it's looking like it's shaping up to be a pretty interesting one overall. Paradigm, the big question mark for me is still them. Can they perform against, a top NA team? We saw them do pretty well yesterday. Can they do it again today? Let's take a look at Paradigm's reel, guys. Take it away.
Paradigm. Fun baller. Bricks tank. Lobster. Cubo Fred. Zalia.
And well, when you think Paradigm, at least for me, it starts and ends with Tricks Tank here at LAN.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to the launch tournament, the random Guan Yu Warhorse charge into 5 people to steal that Fire Giant. It's just one of the craziest things we've ever seen.
I've loved playing against Tricks. He's one of the very, very old supports in this game.
Yes.
And whenever I watch him play, it's fantastic.
He's got that 2012 mark, yeah?
Yeah,
real old school. And he's always played that warrior guardian archetype, even before we had that traditional support role.
Yeah, if you are a support role player in SMITE or a fan of them, you're in for a treat today.
Yeah.
As on the other side of the ball, it's TSM's Ionic, very much known for being one of the top premier supports in North America, along with Jeff Hinla. And, well, I think that's going to be a big indicator of this game, especially for the first few games, is how well the support players are able to play. Will Tricks Tank get Geb, or will it be going to Ionic? And one thing that was really interesting to me is, as you saw in the last European set that TSM was in, Ionic drafted Ymir a lot in the support role, and actually asking them about it, he was like, we spammed Ymir games in scrims for months straight to prepare to play European teams. So, interestingly enough, it looks like they're going to be ready for this one. Let's take a look at TSM's reel and see how they're going to deal with Paradigm.
Solo Man. Snoopy. Ionic. Debouche. Degars. Emio.
The end of that reel, of course, showing a little bit of the potential of the solo laner from TSM, Divios, taking down the rather unanimous world's best player, Cyclone Spin, yesterday in a rather dramatic fashion.
Yeah.
It's possible that he's going to have maybe a roadblock here with Zalia. Zalia, a very non-traditional solo laner, just like Cyclone Spin, but Zalia does have a little bit more of a tank presence, characters like Wukong, Hercules, etc.
We saw him play a lot of Aphrodite, a lot of Wukong in previous sets in this tournament. So, frontliner may be the name for Zalia here. And, well, as we've seen this entire tournament, Bologna probably going to be a big swing pick in this event.
Bologna should, I mean, I don't understand when Bologna stopped becoming this character that everyone should be afraid of. Yesterday, her win ratio was massive.
Yeah, she did very, very well. And yeah, it's been so far an interesting contest, and we are moving into the P's and B's. It's Paradigm versus TSM, game number 1 in the first pick, first ban position. It's the boys in black and yellow. We're riding along with Funballer here as the bans come through, and Fenrir and the Rat banned out right away there. Fenrir ban makes the Ratatoskr ban basically obligatory in the first pick position.
Right. I mean, if first pick says we're not going to play Fenrir, it means they're really looking for Ratatoskr. This must be Alquang here, which means Paradigm is basically guaranteed Bologna, although Ymir has been a huge flex pick for Europe.
They may take Ares, Ymir, one of the kind of traditionally used supports in the top pick position, but Alquang likely to be the ban from TSM here. No, the win, Freya! They're going to leave it open. Okay, so they're going to challenge Cuba Fred's Alquang.
And yeah, instantaneous. I think this is the second time that Alquang has made it through picks and bans with a 100% ratio.
Yeah, he did. In the last set, it went the way of Fnatic picked it up and did not win with it.
That's true. Yeah, Captain Twig did not get started. Bologna Athena coming out from TSM here, very similar to what AFK was looking for yesterday. Athena was a very popular pick, so There is still flex potential here. It could be Athena jungle, Bologna solo, and they could still have room for a support. So there's some ambiguity.
Athena doesn't feel like a Gar's god to me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. He's very assassin archetype. Loves circuits. Loves things, of course, like Thor. Jeff, what about you? Athena right to support?
I think it's going to be Athena support. You've seen Ionic play it. He is a great Athena. What I am scared here of is this.
Whoa.
Okay.
Playing with any support is just going to be horrifying.
A Muzenkop?
Yeah, and it's actually pretty smart to draft away the Amir there, because Amir would have been a really good jungler here versus the Kwang, as you mentioned. Any additional CC you can get is good, but Muzen locked in.
1 out of 100 games here, and he has been picked one time. Has a 100% win rate.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting god, right? I mean, it's really the pick position is really interesting because there's very little priority needed. I mean, Muzenkop's going to be available in the draft. See him taking third here. It's more to indicate that they don't want to draft their mid laner and soul laner this early, more so than the value of Muzen. But Rom locked into the other side, and something we didn't mention is that Rom going to be a very, very pivotal pick here in this match.
Snoopy with a ridiculous ratio of snipe accuracies. I mean, it's crazy. And with that, I like the fact that they locked this in to get against a Muzenkop, because it's a character that can maybe utilize the Stinger against him by taking to the sky. He won't be able to really get a lot of use out of that cripple. But remember, guys, for those of you who might be joining us for this broadcast who haven't played in a while, a Muzenkop recently received a disarm to his kit. If the bees stick on a person for 4 seconds and you can extend the duration with auto attacks, it will disarm their opponent for 1 second. And it's very strange because no one's used to it yet. It feels very random.
It's extremely hard to play around. Like you mentioned, it was new, but even if it wasn't new, no matter how long that's in the game for, it is so hard to play around just something ticking down on you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, how do you count that 4 seconds? Be like, okay, I'm not going to be able to attack in 2.6.
Now, imagine when you get into your public games tomorrow and it's Bologna Muzenkop lanes everywhere and you never get to attack. But Agni drafted her from Team Solo mid. Always just kind of an unsurprising, Agni was available.
Agni has been the focal point of balance ever since he originally lost his 2-second stun, which was a good thing. That was way back in 2012. He's always been like the center of things.
No, I actually think that he got into the best spot when the dash lost CC immunity instant on startup.
That's true.
Like the 2-second stun was just kind of like clown shoes, like that needed to go just because it was like the only range stun of the game and it was 2 seconds long. But yeah, the dash no longer being immune, because that dash starts up instantly, like it's a 1 frame start, and then it gave you CC immunity at activation. So it was basically impossible to lock him down.
Chrono's going to be locked in for Paradigm. Most likely the mid laner, obviously. Solo possibilities here.
Yeah, probably it's got to be, right? Because Amir has to be the support here as the only Guardian. No one else really has the potential.
They wouldn't put a Muzenkop in solo, right?
I can't imagine versus Bologna why you would do that.
Well, I mean, Chronos the same thing, right?
At least Chronos has spells.
That's true. I mean, so does Muzenkop. I mean, he's very close to that almost traditional hunter-caster with that swarm doing, what is it, like 6,000 damage, Jeff?
Yeah, something like 7,000.
7,000?
TSM with their final pick, it will be Tyr, and that's going to be going to the jungle here. So we were kind of wondering, like, what are they going to do to make up their control versus this Alquang? And the answer is Tyr, who obviously can power cleave him to death.
I was actually expecting Wukong here. Divios yesterday was
exactly that, right? Like, if they pick the Wukong, they have such little reliable CC. And not that Fearless is the most reliable CC in the game, but Blink Fearless is pretty reliable onto a target that doesn't see you coming with wards.
Plus, Blue Power Cleave is going to keep him out of execute range, forcing Alquang to choose different targets.
Well, yeah, so does Somersault Cloud, though, to that effect, right, with Wukong.
Well, one's an 8-second cooldown, one's 110 or some ridiculous number.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, so, will we see the meditation again coming up, perhaps, to deal with the executes as we saw last time?
That's Salve.
Yeah.
Those are different items.
Oh, Salvation, that's right.
Those different items,
right.
Bart.
I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
It's the green meditation. Meditation green edition.
I have that shirt.
Well, Mr. Hinla, I'll ask you to take a look at these compositions here, and who do you think has the edge in this draft?
I think TSM has the more well-rounded comp. I think if Paradigm gets to that 35-minute mark, I don't know how you're dealing with it, right? So there's only one front line in Ymir, but there's 4 targets that have to die.
And none of them can. Right?
Like, the AMC is the only one that can.
Yeah,
but if you're chasing AMC and committing onto AMC,
you're going to get hit by a monster.
You're going to get destroyed.
Yeah, and kind of a good point there, right? If somehow Funballer draws even through the laning phase, it's going to be a really tough time here.
Is Scylla. So, we were kind of right. Lobster is going to take Chronos to the mid. We saw him do this previously in the sets against Cloud9 when Agni was taken and Isis was taken.
And he did just fine.
He did fantastically. He's really showing that Chronos mid is...
I don't know if I would go that far.
What?
fantastically.
Oh, I think he did.
I think he stalled the lane and farmed. I mean, I think that...
That's what Kronos does?
Well, he did what he needed to do. Like, he wasn't making big plays for his team, but I think it was coming off the back of what was, like, just one of the, like, most probably horrific performances that he could have ever dreamed of on his ISIS, where he was, like, 6 levels behind and died
Pepperonis.
a bajillion times, right? Like, to go and then, like, be like, I'm going to play Kronos was pretty ambitious, and then played it in, like, this kind of really, really calm, conservative manner, and it worked out really well for them. And I think that is what makes sense in this lineup again as well, right? Rely on Ao Kuang to make the plays. You don't need to force anything as Kronos.
Cubo Fred, I don't think we've seen him play Ao Kuang yet at this LAN.
No.
In fact, didn't get a lot of play with him during the season as well, so this is kind of new for us. I'm interested to see what he's going to do in terms of build, if he'll favor the Polynomicon early on, Soul Reavers, things like that, or is he going to look more to that, Captain Twig Wingblade.
From what I understand, talking to the pro players, overall, Ao Kuang is almost exclusively going to be purchasing Bancroft's Talon and Magic Power items over any kind of in-hand.
Yes. Wingblade, though, of course, giving him extra movement speed is very important. So here's the now extremely beneficial, what we call paradigm start. They're going to be doing back camps and the speed at the same time, utilizing the 80-foot range to give all that experience to the mid lane, still getting level 2 at the tri-camp. You will see Team Solo Mid has adapted this completely.
Well, yeah, we don't... do we know that? That's what we were joking about in the last set, right? On day 1, we saw both of the teams do it, and it was like, is TSM going to be really upset that we called it the paradigm start? Well, no, just because they played second?
Divio said, oh yeah, we stole that.
Okay, great. Well, there we go. The paradigm start it is. Locked in, ladies and gentlemen. Take it to ranked.
Oh, man. I also like the AFK start as well, where you're starting at the blue buff, but I think it needs to be less. We need to do these starts every time and more like what comp do we have and where is it going to be beneficial?
I completely agree with that. With how all the maps changed recently, every game's kind of like, how do we start and what's the most effective start? There's not a clear-cut way anymore.
So right here, this is, we talked about how Cubo Fred may not have an affinity with the character. He had 1 dragon left and he didn't throw it. Now, you remember, you do not incur the cooldown until all of those dragons are gone. He just wasted 4 seconds on that cooldown by not throwing that.
That's like, what, 50 gold?
In this case, it could have been First Blood. Who knows?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's mechanically, Ao Kuang has some intricacies to him. The kind of the sword meter is not very readily apparent exactly what that's doing for you. There's some shenanigans going on there.
Really understand
what I do want to talk about is Muzen Cobb kind of going for the Devo's Glove build up here into Rom. I'm a little bit surprised to not see Transcendence, just because I think it's so good on this god.
I 100% agree. Jeff, we'll defer to you on this. You're in this lane all the time. I expected Transcendence. He has the Dev's Gloves. What do you think?
Well, right now, what it seems to me is that Ymir and AMC are just winning the lane, right? They're not going to get outpushed by Athena or Rom, and maybe they're not looking for kills. Maybe they're just looking for that transition. Because, like I said, when this team gets to late game, I don't think they can lose.
Well, I mean, if they get the Hives leveled, looking at 11 or 12, and they have, another spell maxed, if he has that Dev's Gloves, even with the debuff now that Gold Fury applies, not giving full lifesteal, it'll still give them a much better chance of getting early objectives, and I think that might be important. But he will lose damage.
Yeah, but I mean, the Dev's Gloves into Boots buildup is really no faster than Transcendence into Aussie. It's a little bit more efficient, but not by a ton. And Transcendence Aussie gives you, relatively speaking, the same kill potential against an objective. Really, you're missing out on attack speed, but on Muzen, Hives providing you the HP5 and attack speed, you can kind of make that up. So
not to mention, we should talk about the fact that his abilities scale very hard, and Transcendence gives you a very much larger pool of damage instantaneously, whereas Dev Gloves must be stacked before you're really going to feel it.
Yeah, that's true. And kind of the rule of thumb for SMITE is any kind of dot-based abilities, anything that hits multiple times, scales, generally speaking, very, very highly, often over 100%. And a big reason why Muzen Cobb does so well with raw power.
Well, he hits level 5 here. It looks like they're gesturing for rotations. Left side mid camp's about to spawn. You're going to see a sentry ward come down here. And look at that. It's spotted. You're going to see that small VGS used. Cubo Fred, Lobster. We have a 3v4 here. This looks real good for Paradigm.
Yeah, Paradigm has... Garza's going to go in with the Bellona. Now comes out the Glacial Shards, and into the ultimate goes Tricksank. That's just a zone, and the mid camp secured on the back of that ultimate. It looks like, but can he make it out? Okay, Rom to the sky. Tricksank, 1, 2, 3.
Got him. Snoopy doesn't miss.
Snoopy makes that look easy.
He's actually cheating. Like, we said it yesterday. I mean, there's no way that he's a human being. Like, he did that, and it looked like that's what was supposed to happen. That is one of the hardest abilities to hit in SMITE, period.
Jeff, how tough is it to give up First Blood on the Guardian?
It's gotten a lot better, but it's still really hard to catch up because Ionic should have his boots first, and there it is. He has his boots right now. Now Ionic's just going to continue to snowball. Yeah,
as the Talaria continues to kick in, the bonus MS getting to the camps faster. We may have another engagement over here on the right side as TSM's looking to steal away this blue buff and strip it from Zalia and Fred. Zalia got to play this pretty carefully here with that purple pot still running. Although it's it's in his last minute of effectiveness, maybe he'll be able to get away with a death here and not lose too much. But Cuba Fred's just gonna help him secure that crush, gonna lock it in there, and Zalia's gonna sentinel right over the wall and be perfectly happy.
That's exactly what they needed to do there. That's exactly what they needed. If Zalia had waited any longer, Cuba waited any longer, the blue buff was at risk. They needed to make sure he did it against the wall and not pull it out so he can get back into lane. Right there, Garz and Divio said, hey, I think we could push this wave and then try to go for the blue. That way, if it forces the split, they'll lose experience to the tower, but very smart play coming out from Paradigm.
So, Jeff, is this Muzen Cobb, is it Funballer wants to play Muzen, or do you think that they draft that to keep that out of TSM's hands, considering they have an Ao Kuang?
I don't think they're really drafting it to take it away from TSM. I think Funballer.
So you don't think it has anything to do with the kind of the dotting versus an Ao Kuang and the reveal and all that shenanigans of that interaction?
Probably not.
Just.
Yeah, he probably just
Got him.
Oh, did he catch him in the roll? I think he did. Yes. So no more roll available, but that Athena ultimate damage mitigation going to do a lot, especially against the bees. I mean, they basically do nothing once you start getting DR stacked on you.
Are they going right for it? Tricks. What? Did he miss that?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yes, he did.
Oh my. A little bit off the mark there. Confound. Not going to be throwing Tricks Tank. I'm sure counting his lucky stars that happened the way it did.
Teleport to towers, rank 1. It was selected on Divios' tier. Scylla still has not opted into that yet, so Divios will pull ahead ever so slightly in experience here now as he'll be getting back to the lane a bit faster. But Scylla, it's a really tall, it's a tough opportunity to make it into the mid stages of the game with one active slot, not being defensive.
That's true. I mean, she's going to need beads. It's still possible for Heavenly Agility, although I'm definitely expecting the combat blink.
Yeah, I'm expecting blink, yeah, for sure, out of the Scylla. It's almost...
He didn't pick that up. Pick that up. Thank you.
Yeah, almost 100% I would say that it's going to be a blink for Zalia. They need the initiation with this lineup. That's really the one big thing they're going to be deficient in, right? Is if Tricks Tank is being the initiator, they won't have any counter initiations. They really need Zalia to kind of get in there and get those Sickums to set up that kind of re-initiation from Tricks Tank.
That's why I'm very surprised that we don't see the blink on Ao Kuang. I mean, realistically, they're going to have him get in without using the water teleport, because if he uses that decoy early, he has no escape potential.
6 minutes into this one, guys. First blood still in favor of TSM.
Got him again.
Caught the dash again. Tricks Tank has been everywhere on this. Amir trying to make his way to the back line is Fred. Fred going to start bursting down Boosh, who bursts down Tricks Tank before he goes
Cubo's
down.
too low.
Gar's in execute range, but they take down Cubo. He's unable to find the execute there. And even when the Muzen copy is not enough. Zalia looking for the ultimate, not going to find it. Will get the crush on a Boosh, and that'll be enough for a kill. 1, 2, 3 from Snoopy. Doesn't get the third shot on the Funballer. Funballer liable to go down here. Over the top comes here. Divios dunks it in, and it's good. Here comes the Athena. Bunch of damage to the lobster, the taunt, the shield wall. No rewind. Down he goes. Now it's Divios so low. Zalia going to sentinel away. It'll end up being a 3-for-1 trade in favor of, no, a 4-for-1 trade for TSM.
You know, Cubo, poor guy in the back line, looking to get the decoy, or the execute off. Beautiful body blocking. Hits the only target of the 3 that wasn't in execute range, and with that falls immediately. Ult down, destroyed. TSM counters perfectly. You know, it's funny. 2 times in a row now, Tricks Tank has caught someone out of their dash with freeze. One of the hardest things to do in the game, and he gets bodied for it.
Honestly, what I'm seeing here is Trix is in very aggressive positions. As you saw earlier for the first blood, he was in a 4v3 scenario, but it just doesn't seem like his team's ready to pounce on, the freezes he gets.
And that's a shame, right? That's what Ymir's all about, getting to that front line and getting those big freezes and getting your team in there. But like we talked about, this is 4 squishy characters that can't really dive in all that well. And when we saw, I just said I would like to see the blink. It's coming online right now for Ao Kuang. If he had that last time instead of the water decoy, he could have escaped. But a little bit late.
Yeah, you're right. And that's kind of what we were hinting at earlier as well, is that once Amir is in and he's dumped his spells, they're pretty much 100% reliant on Lobster hitting a really good time stop to kind of continue that fight unless they blow someone up right away. And that's, the composition is kind of centered around picking off single targets or kind of 2 targets really quickly with the Scylla.
Right.
Funballer, Stinger, and Cuba Fred able to execute. So,
well, I was talking with Comfrey after the last set, saying that I think Kronos is really good in the mid. I don't think he's great in the Hunter role right now because he doesn't have that huge burst potential that every other Hunter has until like major late game, and that's only if he's unchecked. Rewind is the 50-50, right? Oh, speaking of 50-50s, like there was probably 10% of him getting out of there.
Lobster rewinds after hitting the time stop. There's engagement continuing in the mid lane. Boosh is from Shovel, but the Athena ultimate is there. Execute coming out from Ao Kuang. Yes, it will be good. Boosh is down as Beads 1 used in the last engagement. Able to re-engage now is the Ao Kuang, and he'll go in onto Garz. One more shot going to do it, but the taunt from Ionic will save them for now. Lobster with a time stop. Split the difference, hit the field goal there. One unable to secure any more damage, and Ionic do his best to keep this lane from pushing.
Again, I think I go back to the
left side, Brandon. Snoopy, he's getting a lot of damage on this tier 1 here.
Well, he's unchecked. A Muzen Cobb is not a character that's going to function very well from behind. Funball with a 2-level disadvantage.
Yeesh. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing, right? Like, Jeff, tell me a little bit about the lane dynamics once the tier 1 is down. You know, it's kind of like you open up farm for the enemy by opening up that side of the map, but, you know, obviously you get that bonus gold.
Snoopy's almost out of mana. He's going to have enough to roll here, and that's about it. He's getting closer to it. He's being very, very patient.
Oh, there's the disarm, the wall. Glacial Strike on the mark is huge there. Force use beads.
Does he not
Where's the stun? 4 more seconds for the stun.
Dude, he didn't even need to roll. Like, that was crazy. He got away from that.
The biggest thing with tier 1 towers is it's not the gold, obviously, and yeah, you do give them a bit of free farm because they don't have to push up as far. You know, obviously they're losing the lane. It's buff control, and then it's map control of, like, in their jungle. Their back camps open up, their purple opens up, and their red opens up, which I think you're going to see TSM abuse.
Yeah, do you think then we're going to see probably a timing push here into the Gold Fury, given that they've taken down that tier 1 pre-10?
Fairly soon.
Well, the third spawn of the mid camp's coming up here now. Well, I guess it'll be the 4th now that they spawned at 0 seconds. Damn designers changing the game on me. But yeah, coming back up now and secured on the left side by TSM. And yeah, you may have noticed if you've been a SMITE fan for, you know, some months now or years, you'll notice that a lot of the commentary prior to this patch was very centric around those mid camps, and now they've kind of come into a little bit of a different state. Yesterday, I kind of described them as now they're much more of a tactical objective, less of a strategic objective overall. It's something that could kind of help get your mid laner a little bit ahead or recover, and less kind of this obligatory, always need to get them every time sort of thing. Jeff, is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, so mid camps are definitely very important. If you have mid camp control, it'll keep you in the game if you're losing other places, right? But if you're losing, you know, half of the mid camps, you're not.
Who is this?
Not gonna lose the game.
They're going to use the Athena ultimate as well. They've just decided it's time to try to kill Zayli, and in they go. Fearless not going to be a big factor now, but he's going to use it to get out of the I'm a Monster.
Nice
Zayli
dodge.
does not make it over the wall. Taunted. Roma Invicta. Gars with a disarm, and Ionic with a shield wall pop to get the kill. They invested a lot, though, for that, and in response, Paradigm Gaming is going to go for the Gold Fury, but as Jeff mentioned, no tier 1 there. They don't have anywhere to fall back to.
God.
No, Paradigm still takes it away. Boosh unable to snipe it with his bomb. Snoopy moving forward. Can he get it? He's used his ultimate as well at this point, unable to secure that. They tried to time it. They almost had it perfectly there. Lobster, he's going to rewind. What a rewind. Was he take him back far enough? Yes, around the wall he goes, and away goes Lobster. Can they run him down? Now Snoopy dashes forward.
Triple.
He gets the cripple. 1, 2, 3 shots. He'll get stunned out. One more shot to do it. Ionic with the reach isn't enough. Doesn't matter. Boosh secures a kill. 8-2.
I can't believe, like, as much as Paradigm had control over that Gold Fury, that belonged, in my opinion, to TSM. Those Agni bombs were right on point. It just happened to be like 0.1 second off the mark there, right before it went down. Boosh a little bit late on the timing, but I love the rotation there. TSM, though, I mean, let's take a look at the graphs. This is like the first time we're going to see them in this game. You'll note that was an early Gold Fury. It's not going to net them a lot, and with that, it winds up being even experience, but it does give them a small gold. No, actually, that wound up being completely even. That's a normal trade.
Yeah, you know, and I don't know if it's so much Boosh there, is it's the combination of Boosh and Snoopy is what you're looking for, right? I mean, that's talking to the pros about kind of the life after Hog. It's kind of come now down to communication and being able to coordinate multiple abilities to burst the Gold Fury, and I think what happened there was that the Agni Bomb, Boosh was calling that he had fired it, but the delay meant that Snoopy's shot came in before it, and they just got a little bit off the mark and Paradigm able to secure.
Taking it with Zaylia here, just suffered a 3-man gank that he almost survived. You'll notice the I'm a Monster pop, not the actual attack, but the actual activation of the ability was flawless, because he did it in response as a CC immune measure to stop Divios from pushing him off the tower line. But missing the hit, obviously missed the 1-for-1 trade. I love the fact that he sentineled away and got out of the fight completely, at least long enough for them to have to use more ults and more CC to actually burn him. That forced Ionic to have to stick around longer, which means he couldn't rotate fast enough to the Gold Fury.
Yeah, it definitely opened up the Gold Fury for them, and it was a nicely timed kill as well for TSM as the Warlock Sash was just coming online for Zaylia, stopping his stacks a bit. In comes Ionic, he's going to find the top, but it's not going to hit anybody as Trixank avoids it. Tier 1 does go down in the mid lane, and the fight continues. Trix in a lot of trouble as Amir, and this is why we see Amir fall out of favor, especially in North America. If he is able to get slowed down and kited, there's very little he can do. Cuba Fred, he's going to pop through his jungle, now invisible. Divios is going to spot him as he comes out of invisibility. Surging forward now is Paradigm. They want to take back control of their back jungle camps here, and TSM looks like they're going to let them do it. Ionic goes for the taunt. He's going to make Zaylia use his ultimate, eat an I'm a Monster in response. That's going to be a huge cooldown off the side of Paradigm, and TSM's going to have free reign of their jungle.
TSM just laughed at that I'm a Monster. That was the tickle attack right there. That was the tickle monster. That was him. Ionic took like 200 damage.
Well, I mean, look at Ionic's build. He realizes there's only 1 fizz damage on the team, and he's building accordingly.
I love this Spirit Robe, right? Because it's going to be a massive reduction of defense, or rather of damage across the board onto him. There's so many different forms of hard CC that will proc it, and this is going to allow him to do a lot.
Jeff, why do you think TSM is so heavily looking to push Xaylia out of the lane specifically here? You can see they've rotated Snoopy over as well, and they're going to 3-man this tower down.
I think they're just looking to abuse the fact that it's a mage in the solo, right? And
Okay, so it could have been anybody. It's not Cell's late game potential. It's just the fact that they can't.
If it was any mage.
Gotcha. Well, the fight going to break out here, and Trickstank once again struggling to close the distance as the Amir and get out of this one. Now the slow from Bologna coming in. Snoopy chain slowing in with those astral arrows as well. Taunt coming in onto 2. Cubo Fred, obviously the high priority target here as the Alquang, but he hasn't got much done so far in this game. It's been all team solo mid. Now 10 for 2 at 14.5 minutes.
Even with the Gold Fury loss, you can see a major advantage in gold for TSM's side. The team fights have gone almost exclusively in their favor. Hugo Fred has been unable to get started. He's either blinking in a little bit too early or blinking in late. He's ulting targets that are maybe... the one time we saw him get the execute, he picked a target as soon as they hit execute range, even though he started to fall lower and lower as he were going down. It was a guaranteed kill. He couldn't follow up off of it. I go back to the fact that I don't know if Cuvo has been playing this god enough. This, to me, seems like a position where they probably should have been banning Alquang instead of trying to bait for it, because this isn't Cuvo Fred's type of god, in my opinion. I want to see him on those janky Awelix picks. Get Cabrakan back in there. Stick with the comfort zone.
You know, I think that Alquang is a comfort pick for them. I mean, I think he's played them a lot. I know that they value the god very highly. Trix was talking a bit about specifically Cuvo's build-up on Alquang and Awelish and how he thought that, that was one of his strengths. So he had mentioned it to me. They've at least been playing it in scrims some, but yeah, I would agree. It's not been kind of... as it often is when we see gods banned out like this, so high priority, it's really only a couple players in the world that make them really, really worth that. And often they'll get through and be a little bit lackluster. And we've seen that from Twig, and now we're seeing shades of it from Cuvo, but this one is far from over. At 1-1-1, he still has a huge opportunity to make an impact on this game.
That's true. I mean, late game Alquang is nothing to mess with. I've seen him literally global people. Now, for those of you who might not know what global means, there's a global cooldown on abilities. Almost every ability will incur a 1-second cooldown before you can use something else. It happens for a lot of gods in a lot of situations. He can literally kill you in one cooldown. We've seen it happen multiple times. I would like to see it happen again, but him going into the Wingblade will delay any form of that until like 35-40 minutes.
Looks at this. TSM, they're just going to start the Gold Fury, and Paradigm, they have no response to this. Yeah, they're recalling in their jungle. Trickstank is walking forward as the Amir, but at 0-4, 0-5 now, or 0-4, yeah, he just can't even get close. If he gets slowed, if he gets hit by one Astral Arrow from Snoopy, it's death.
Yeah, back to the grass, you can see 5,000 gold now for Team Solo Mid, even losing a Gold Fury. They're 5K ahead at 17 minutes.
This got out of hand so fast. Both those, all tier 1s down here around the 15-minute mark.
I think the major issue they're having here is the first initiation and the second initiation. I think you're feeling it now. TSM's just had pressure the entire time off those very beginning fights.
It's a two-man taunt here just outside the tier 2. Eagles rally over the top as well. Fred in quite a bit of trouble, and Fred in quite a bit of hurt now as he does take a spill. Big kill. Every time you see the Alquang go down, it's a big deal. Snoopy's going to turn and fight here, I think, with the Athena ultimate coming in. He's going to dash back into the lane. No. It's going to Athena take the front line as TSM continues. Look at this. It's just such a good timing push. I mean, they just go in and they just dominate the right side of the map as that orange buff comes back up and the blue buff, and they'll take both of those as their own and pressure the tier 2 on the right.
Yeah, they're probably going to find this tier 2 here. It's going to be up to Xaylia to find the wave clear. He should have most of it. No, missing a few archers. Trix in the back line is going to be a deterrent here. Beautiful ult to push them off the front, but in the back line, they're still trying to control these creeps, chasing into the jungle now. They could be getting baited. The tier 2's getting lower. Yeah,
Shell was popped right as that Amir ultimate came out, so it did maybe a bit less damage than he was expecting. A two-man taunt as well coming out. Snoopy, he's going to take the sky. 1, 2, 3. Funballer 1. Funballer 2. Down he goes to Snoopy. Snoopy going to find a lot of damage on that third shot as well. Let's go back into the fight here. Lobster in some trouble over the monster. I'm a monster coming in as well. Boosh securing the kill onto the Chronos. Running away with very little HP is Ionic. Now it's Boosh trying to make his way out. Xaylia crush. Just away. Glacial Strike is there, and Xaylia gets it with the in-hand. And this is Cubo's opportunity to make an impact, but no. He's isolated out by Snoopy. Eagles rally again. That cooldown is quite low, boys. Forget about that one. Xaylia Sentinel is used. He got slowed. Slowed again. Disarm. One more shot to do it. Will you find it? Snoopy tries the Astral Arrow through the Phoenix, doesn't find it. Wall off the mark from Trix to keep him in there. But tier 2 to fall on the right side now in credit of Team Solo Mid, and this one has been very, very one-sided.
And we're going to go back to the graphs here. You'll see another spike straight down. This went from 5K to 7,500, a 50% increase to their lead.
Yeah, we're looking now at the 19-minute mark. The gold advantage growing ever so closely to 10K. And as you see the spectator pointing out there, 9,000 player damage nearly coming out from Zalius Scylla. But a lot of that is like him hitting 3-man crushes while dying underneath tier 2. So,
That's right.
I mean, it may be a little bit misleading. He hasn't been hitting a lot of I'm a Monsters so far, but
this is what Lobster does. Lobster is low damage, high deaths in game 1, and then he comes back and wins, right? That's what he's just done
yeah,
all
and Chrono
weekend.
sitting at 4,500 there. It'll be some time before he's, really a big damage dealer anyway as Kronos.
That's true. I mean, he needs, he went to the Warlock Satch, which is always a good idea, but he'll need the Kronos Pendant or Rada Tahuti finished up in that first slot after getting that Demonic Grip online. Once he has both of those items, it doesn't matter how long the game goes on. If he gets that core online, he's going to be swinging.
No, yeah, looking at the time spent dead graph, you see 4 members of TSM yet to take a spill.
Yeah, and 108 across the board here for the top 3. Yeah, it's very rare that you see people tied in time spent dead, let alone
Because they're all
3
dying at the same
people.
time. Yeah. Take a look at Divios' build here. What a build up! I mean, just a very well
That's the
crafted build.
That's the MOBA build.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the. So what that is a Silver Talisman, which is outside of Frostbound Hammer, the most stat efficient gold item in the game.
Yes.
And then you also have to the right of it there's the Emerald Talisman, which is pretty close, not quite there, and that's actually also on the Athena as well. It's just wildly cost-efficient magical protection.
See, this actually shouldn't be allowed because I've never played a role-playing game in which you're allowed to wear 2 talismans. They cancel each other out, man.
Agni can do it.
Yeah. What? Oh, because he's got 2 heads.
He's got 2 heads.
Oh. That racial bonus, though.
Yeah, there you go.
Another tier 2 going to fall here. Team Solomid extends their lead drastically.
And now they're looking at the tier 2, as you mentioned, Paradigm Gaming. They look like they want to defend. Let's actually take a listen in with Team Solo Mid as they aggress the tier 2 into Paradigm.
You want to back and re-up?
We just
for
skipped
fire?
fire.
They're giving it
You
up.
just back and re-up for fire?
Get mid camps, yeah. Get mid camps.
I'm gonna go on the
I'm gonna grab blue. 19. So, Alcorn's right here.
Careful, Divios. They could all just like 5-man you. Even so.
I
Look
won't.
how much damage the Alcorn combo did to me.
That's a lot of damage.
None.
Man.
Like, it did 100 damage, then I just like insta heal.
Oh, Bush is BMing. Alright.
Get BM.
Shout out Divios.
Or I'm backing and re-upping for fire.
You're just looking at you.
We can just pressure gold again if we
I'm
want.
gonna get one more wave in mid. And then
I think
I'm gonna...
we're like just way too far ahead.
Yeah, this game's over.
I think we should still do gold either way. Like, why not?
I'm getting bulwark, so
Buying a
We
profile.
just, I mean, obviously we can't let them like try to sneak fire. That's all.
yeah.
The only thing that's like a worry.
Keep us
That's
up at any
it.
point.
After that, nothing else on the map for them to get. They can literally get nothing.
Backing for...
Well, we're back at the commentary desk now. As you heard, TSM feeling very confident in their position in this game.
To quote Divios, his combo did 100 damage. Right.
Yeah.
That was accurate. Was
You know,
that good,
you
Jeff?
hear
That was
us.
It was good.
You hear us often kind of joking about it if you've ever attended an event and heard us kind of talk about Divios, but you got a little insight there into exactly why. He's like a little joyful elf of destruction.
I mean, he is, though. It's
Yeah.
not like he is.
Yeah, he
a
is that.
joyful
You're right. Yeah,
elf.
it's a simile, not a metaphor.
But yeah, it literally did 100 health, right? And then he healed it back up with that Emerald Talisman. Like, that's crazy. That's Ao Kwang. He's supposed to one-shot you. He's going into, it looks like, Magic Focus here. This is likely to be either Spear of the Magus or Obsidian Shard. At this point, the Obsidian Shard is probably necessary. Although getting into that Spear could increase Scylla's damage. And realistically, they got to get someone to get big enough to take those swings.
Story of this game to me has been Tier Bologna leading all players in farm against a team that's like super thin within a mirror.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's just no way that they can win it. I mean, the front line is just going to collapse immediately. You've seen how easy it was for them to kill the Amir. And it basically comes down to Cubo Fred like killing 14 people every fight to like have any opportunity to get any objectives off the back of this, because Tier Bologna, like, you got to basically like bend, not break. You got to let them like surge through your front line and try to pick up those mages as they roll past or something. It's a really, really tough team fight.
It comes back down to how it's not how well Paradigm can play at this point. They cannot play well enough to win this game. It's up to TSM to get cocky and make mistakes. Their lead dictates the pace so drastically that unless they make very drastic mistakes, I'm talking about standing in lava pools, getting hit by the fire giant, getting baited one at a time, lemming-wise, into team fights, it seems that they could steamroll the rest of this game. Paradigm, though, I imagine are going to try to stay calm and focused. At this point, to me, in my mind, it's not about the comeback anymore. It's trying to get through this game, doing enough damage to make sure Team Solo Mid knows that when the game gets even again at the start of Game 2, they're going to come to win.
Cubo Fred. Oh, he's going to get Fearless. He's in a lot of trouble here.
Bye, Fred.
Path of Flames, is that enough? Yes, it is, of course, and was dotted up by the Agni as well. Cubo Fred does go down there. The pins are closed by Team Solo Mid, and they also have their Salvation online to help deal with those executes. Of course, this item does provide a burst heal that can take you right out of execute range and make Ao Kwang's day a bad day.
Yeah, definitely. I love, by the way, Salvation. We talked about it before. Salve in the current meta is extremely, extremely effective, especially this late. You can no longer build things like Brawler's Beat Stick or Divine Ruin. From ahead, Salvation is actually one of the highest statted items in the game for the cost, giving X amount of health, of course. Now,
percentage health, yeah.
Yeah, if we actually take a look at Athena, we can see her maximum health here. Clumsy Death. There she is, 2,800. So 15% of that is going to come back. So she's looking at about
500-ish
to 430 health.
Yeah.
That's a good burst, man. You get hit by 2 Agni Bombs and that gets healed up. You feel that?
I feels it. Well, how does Paradigm? I mean, it definitely starts with them winning like 3 team fights in a row.
Do you see this Sentry Ward, by the way?
Yeah. That's been that kind of anti-lane ward Sentry has become more and more popular. Oh, okay. So it's actually 420 HP.
What did I say?
430.
Oh, did I? Oh,
here we go. It's a 2-man freeze from Trixix. He goes in. The call has been made from Paradigm trying to defend here. Lobster does not make it into a rewind. Down will go Trix. Down will go Fred. And I don't see this one being stopped anymore by Paradigm.
No.
I think the TSM's just going to roll right into the base.
Snoopy hit 2 there. That brings his total team fight total up to, it looked like 10 of 12, which is kind of crazy.
You see Fun Baller.
12.
Hands on the face. They're going to let this one go. I think I'm a monster. Zaylee going to do it. Nope. Fearless Shane. GG.
Yeah, that was pretty clean. I mean, there was really no way for them to stop that rush. The Salvation, of course, getting used to keep them alive. They lost nobody in that team fight. Paradigm needs to switch something up.
No, you know what? It's like exactly like the set they played yesterday. Like in the first game, they drafted something very similar. They had like 4 cores and a Geb, I think, in that one, something like that. And yeah, it kind of just fell apart. It wasn't really strong enough. It was again like a big theme yesterday for me in watching those games was that one team would draft like something that was really high execution dependent. The other team would draft something that was just really sound team fighting.
Circles.
Right, and that's what we saw in this game as well, right? It was like the key to success for Paradigm was like, okay, like isolate 2 people, have Scylla kill one, have QO kill the other, then have Amir like re-engage with a wall and a blink freeze to like run them down and hope that Bologna doesn't wipe the team, right?
It was a lot harder to play Paradigm's comp, and
they
couldn't fight at all early, and they did, and they lost those fights.
When you're running those 4 critical assassins, it comes down to like kind of like this 5-point attack, right? You're going to have one person lead, and then kind of this pincer that happens. 2 people coming in from the back, 2 people coming in from the sides, and then the defensive team has to be like, which one of these guys are we going to try to stop and then back off and try to reinitiate? The issue here is all 4 of those carries, whether they were in the pincer or not, never actually dealt enough damage for it to matter. Yep. The massive tankiness and great builds coming out from TSM dictated a clean win.
Yeah, I think another frontliner would have been really nice for the boys of Paradigm in that last matchup. But they wanted the damage out of Azalea's Scylla. And yeah, I mean, mages in the solo lane. I mean, we've only really seen Aphrodite have
Afro
any chance.
fine, Ra even sometimes decent. You know, Janice is good. Yeah, where's Ra?
Where's Ra? I keep saying it. It's like, you know, healer's really high value, team fighting is very high value, like re-engaging after like fights is really high value, taking objective, and it's just like Ra is the very best at all of those things.
Flavor picks.
Yeah, I guess
all flavor picks.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Ra's flavorful. He's tasty chicken. Let's toss it over to the analyst, Kevin and Hinderman. Take it away.